The Redevelopment Agency. Mr. Price's presentation said that that idea was a good one. He didn't say it was the best one. I'm very hesitant to support it because I want to talk about which areas of the township would be in need of redevelopment before we set up the redevelopment agency to redevelop those pieces of property. We need to have that meeting.
I want to talk about the redevelopment agency. There's more that I could learn about this redevelopment agency, and I'm familiar with many of the members that were on the original redevelopment agency, back when they were working on Glen Point. I know one thing, and I think Councilman Dunleavy said it the best, and Deputy Mayor Schwartz said it also as well in addition. As a manager, I believe the buck stops with us, and that's how I run my business, and that's how on the council I try to take responsibility. And it is very frustrating when you have to take responsibility for something that you have no control over. Now, I know that there are many conspiracy theorists here, and they're going to go out and spread negative and try to scare the residents, and I know that they're going to start doing the fear and I have one specific goal in mind, and that is to help Teaneck make it affordable so that our residents can continue living here. And I'm looking to do with this agency 3 things. I'd like to see there being more parking in Teaneck for the residents, for the commuters, so that the whole community doesn't become a giant commuter parking lot, and you can spread this fear for you that I'm saying. I'd like to see our business districts that are tired, that look the same as when Jackie Cates had her first anniversary for her high school, to get a little recognition, especially as they're battling the battles with the online competition, so that Teaneck does maintain its status and become and stay a destination for people to come and visit, as well as a great place for our residents to shop. And I'd like to see, quite frankly, affordable senior housing. After taxes, leaves, snow, the next question I get is, how do I get into that affordable, in Starbucks, but we said we took care of that. How do we get into that affordable senior housing on East Cedar Lane? And we need that. We need that for our aging population. So what I plan on doing with this awesome responsibility is trying to focus on those 3 items. And you could put those on the blogs, you could put that on Facebook, and we're not looking to condemn any properties. In fact, there may be an ordinance against that, but we're looking to try to focus on those. And Alfred Avenue is another one. Township Council spent a lot of money to come up with a plan to try to fix and bring back Alfred Avenue, and that's another area that I'd like to try to focus on. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, that leads us to the redevelopment agency and conflicts of interest and blah, 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 blah. And in the last 2 elections, we affectionately called our oppositions people against progress. Now, there are not some people, everybody here, who are people against progress, right? There are people who are out there who take these little tidbits, put it into a microphone, blow it out there, and say that we're going to eminent domain anywhere in the council. We have these broad powers that no one else can do, and this great power is like rested in our hands. Ladies and gentlemen, you will pack the audience, and you will pack this place every time we come out of line, right, if we step out of bounds with these things. So what I'm saying is just like the people who put us trust in office, is I've been saying this for the last 4 years. The sites that need to be developed are the DPW, the Stop and Shop property, and Alfred Avenue. And the things that this redevelopment agency gives us is the ability to say, no, Mr. Developer, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. No, Mr. Developer, if you don't have a balance sheet, we're not going to give this to you. We can pick and choose the right entity to work with, rather than somebody putting together, and this is from mistakes that we've made, rather than somebody putting an assemblage for a property, they get it past the zoning board, and then they wait 4 years to raise the money to build it. So these are the things that we're trying to do. And ultimately, accountability stops with us. You vote for us, you can vote us out, we will hear you loud and clear and act appropriately. There is nothing untoward in any conspiracies going on. Now, okay, introduction of ordinances. Lisa.
Ordinance number 25, an ordinance designating the Township Council of the Township of Teaneck to act as a redevelopment agency.
Second.
Can we pull them or separate them out?
Yeah.
20, can you separate out 25?
Yeah, 252018.
Let's call it.
Okay, we're going to separate, we're going to vote on that separately, so we'll vote on that one first.
Okay, so this is 25 first.
Yeah.
Councilman Dunleavy?
Yes.
25. Councilman Romney Rice on
No.
25? Councilman Pruitt on 25 only.
No.
Councilman Kaplan on 25.
I have a lot of questions, but I'll vote yes for introduction.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz on 25.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz on 25.
Yes.
Mayor Hamid on 25.
Yes.
Ordinances introduced.
But that's fine, but I want to get something out of the way because, see, this is what happens when we try to do something and things don't move forward, right? So we have a problem that we don't have enough community input for a redevelopment agency, but we don't have anybody taking ownership of what they want to do with this meeting, right? So what is going on? So what I want to do is I want to move that adoption of orders not to the October meeting, but to the meeting after that, and have the people who voted no, Henry Pruitt, Councilwoman Rice, to lead the meeting and get the input from everybody else to see what we're doing wrong or nefarious or what the ideas that people have that they're going to come up with that not going to move the town forward.
I'm
Mayor?
fine with moving that
Yes.
to November.
My questions were just simply, I would like to have more than a page and a half of information. So that was one of my questions. I know that perhaps the planner could be here and to answer questions. I think that we owe it to the community to just make sure that this is discussed in a form where those, questions can be asked and more additional information. For instance, where has this been done and it's been successful? What would be some of the potential challenges, potential cons, as opposed to the pros? I think it would just be worth our while to vet it and just to see.
We did that and had the opportunity to ask those questions at those retreats. Like you were
We,
there. I
we
was
did,
there, you were there.
but it wasn't even discussed at that time that this was now then going to be on the next meetings as an
There
ordinance.
was. Yes, there was. I said it specifically saying, yes, we're going to move forward with this. Everybody unanimously said we're going to move forward with this.
Well, I thought the moving forward was actually to provide additional information.
When Mr. Price made his presentation,
Look,
he was not in
No,
favor, he was not saying this is the best thing to do. He says it's a good idea, but it's got some handicaps. I'm only listening to what he presented.
That's not what he said, but, and I think that we're trying, what I'm saying is that the public has asked for a meeting, right? And we want, you asked for a meeting, you sent emails, everybody
Fine.
else, right?
The public
We have
meeting
we have
was
6 weeks
for-
before the next meeting, if we move this adoption down. No, what I'm saying is, if we move this adoption rather than 2 weeks in October, right? Move it for 6 weeks, and between now and then, you guys have the meeting.
That's fine.
Yeah, it is fine, because actually the public meeting was for the Discover Teaneck presentation to the larger community and have some of the questions answered, such as how does this impact transportation and all the other infrastructure entities.
And also, while we're doing that, let's plan to have the forum that Mr. Savitz asked for to explain the development concerns that he has.
You can do whatever you want, I'm all for it.
No, I'm saying,
You can do whatever you
This
want, but I don't say that.
I'm not doing it. I'm saying this is a council
You get the
responsibility.
council, oh, see, there we go, right? I know what I want to do. I'm trying to
We got
find
that.
common ground, right?
We got
So,
that.
okay, a couple of guys come in and people say that, oh, you're not doing this correctly, you're not doing that correctly, nefarious, whatever. And I'm scratching my head because I thought that we were all on the same page. But we're not on the same page.
No,
So-
what I
hold on,
want you to
hold on,
do
we're
is
not
to
on the
tell
same
us
page.
what areas you're concerned about.
I
to
just
be-
said it an hour
You mentioned 3 areas.
I've said it for the last 4
But
years.
the ordinance that you have is the whole town.
Okay, so let's back up here, right? Mr. Wade.
You want a
How hard is-
redevelopment agency for those 3 areas? Fine.
how-
The whole town, no.
How hard is it? Okay, fine, I'll take those 3 areas.
The 3 areas?
Because then it's
The
specific.
3 areas is all you're concerned about? Fine, I'll vote with you. But if you're saying the whole town, I can't vote with that because I don't know what you're talking about.
You want to do business districts too?
You mentioned 3 areas
Hold
of
on.
redevelopment.
I just had somebody, say it, you got to
No,
call
listen.
on the business district.
I mentioned the business district, and I'm
Yeah,
also, like I said, I want to see affordable senior housing in Teaneck.
You mentioned 3 areas, okay, or 4 areas. The ordinance talks to the whole town. I'm not in favor of the whole
Look,
town.
what do you think, that I'm going to build something on Voorhees Street? I mean, seriously,
I'm
like,
not I'm
but
not
it doesn't
concerned
make
about
any
Voorhees
sense.
Street. I'm
This is
concerned
about,
about being clear about what it is you're
I
asking
understand
for.
what you're saying, and I understand also that people have said eminent domain. Eminent domain in New Jersey is next to near impossible to do.
I'm not
right?
talking about eminent domain.
And I'm saying.
If you want a
I'm saying-
redevelopment agency for those 3 areas, there's no
Okay,
problem.
so
If
that's
you
what
want a
I'm saying.
redevelopment
I'm
agency
fine
for the
with-
entire town, I got a problem.
Yeah, I'm saying it's the same thing, but you're saying it's different, and I'm saying you're for no reason, we're having this argument back and forth because somehow I'm miscommunicating to you my intentions, or that somehow there's going to be this trick.
I never said any of that. I just said, you did indicate the areas, and then I can
Okay,
vote
so
for
let's
it.
agree to disagree. Let's put in those 3 areas.
All right.
Does anybody else have any areas they want to add? Anything else? Yeah.
Now I'm confused as to what this,
May clarify and may put some fears at rest. You're kind of putting the cart before the horse if you put this into the ordinance now.
No, we have to get rid of that ordinance, start over. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
But you would be designating essentially by ordinance already, you're designating places where you're creating.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's why, I knew there was a reason I did it the right way. I knew there was a reason. No,
For redevelopment areas.
exactly. I forgot. Then we have to find the areas that need a redevelopment.
There was a statement earlier today that your ordinance to do with.
Yeah, I knew I was doing it the right way.
There was a statement earlier that this redevelopment agency could come in and just, designate every square inch of this town. I feel like we can.
No, but Mr. Lawyer, if you were going to write an ordinance, or whatever it is, that indicates the areas that we mentioned, those 3 areas,
No.
then that's fine.
I will say this.
no.
Respectfully,
I'm listening.
I wouldn't write that ordinance because I need to read the RDA first. Then
Exactly.
I need to have areas designated for redevelopment to be given to the RDA to go out and redevelop.
Right.
That's.
And let's be clear, when we're creating this redevelopment agency as the council, we are the ones picking the places. And if we're picking them right now or we're picking them later, it's still us picking them.
Well, who's the we?
you.
Who's the we in the picking?
The council.
The 7 people you see right
But
here.
wait a
Because
minute.
that's-
Let me
even
get
the
this
fact that
across.
how this is being presented, it seems
This-
like there's
this-
a we and then there's an outer we, because
Wait a minute.
this, to me, hasn't really been expressed.
Let me see.
Last
Let me see if I can work.
week, we
let me
had
see
a
if I can-
vote at the Senate. It was 48 to 50.
Hold on one second.
To make anything happen, it takes 4 people
Yeah. So
out of 7.
I would like to address, I'd like to say exactly what you said again. What are we keeping? What are we, is going?
That was the question, because he's like, what we pick, and I just want to make sure that it is all-inclusive, that everyone is on the same page about where we are. And I think that that's part of the concern about the questions, because I don't feel that an hour, about 20 minutes presentation with an hour and page and a half of information warrants me the warm fuzzies to feel that this is great. The lawyers, and maybe there's some other entity that could provide additional information. I don't feel that.
What I really suggest is that, all in all, if you don't trust the people you're working with, that's fine. If you think that there's not, I've been forthright with everything from the time that I came up with the redevelopment agency of contacting you and thinking, there is no other plan other than Alfred Avenue, DPW, and Stop and Shop. Those 3 places. Now, fine. You just heard from the attorney. Even I was ready to go do that. You just heard from the attorney. Why do you have to do it the other way? Right? Because it's spot zoning the way I want, that we were going to agree to it.
Mr. Mayor.
Right? Hold on one second. Where this is going to go off the rails, right, is if we don't work together and trust each other to do what's best for the town. Now, if you think that development needs more discussion, by all means, have the meeting. If you have questions, don't ask me, ask the lawyers. Hey, what is this redevelopment agency? What if I'm not for it? How do I stop it? What do I do to not make this go forward? Where doesn't it work? Where does it? And that's, no. There's a big job that we have to do here.
But wait a minute, let's make it real simple.
Mayor.
All I've asked for is identify the 3
You
areas.
just said you can't do it that way. He
No,
just said you can't do it
look,
that way.
I look at this as the body that is going to, in time, do that,
Yes.
okay? And as part of that, doing that, we're going to have discussion with the township where, how, what we're thinking, what we're doing, so on and so forth. So I agree. I don't see how we can sit here and say, we're going to do these 3 places.
Mr. Mayor?
So I also have a question in terms of.
I don't understand why the lawyer tells us we can't. Why is it that the lawyer
Excuse
says
me,
we can't
excuse me, Dr.
list
Pruitt.
we can't list the places we're
Pruitt,
talking about?
Dr. Pruitt, because it's spot zoning. Dr. Pruitt, you can't say beforehand, these are the places we're going to do. Keith, he's been waiting. So ask him again.
I
and then
said
we'll go
when
from
we
there.
had the vote for introduction that I had a lot of questions, and what I plan to do between this meeting and the next was address some of the specific questions both to the planner and our attorney. What I would suggest is that Councilwoman Rice and anyone else that has questions, direct them to the planner and our attorney. If by the next meeting, when
Have a
we
meeting
have...
with him, guys.
Yeah, I'm saying,
Just come
we'll
in
have a
and
meeting, we'll
with him.
address our questions. If our questions aren't fully answered, or even if they are, we can invite him and
He'll
have...
still be here for the adoption. I
Yes, and have those questions answered publicly. If they are answered, great. If they're not answered, we have an opportunity. All we did was introduce it, and then we have an opportunity to address them beforehand. But
One other quick question. How does this relate to our master plan as it stands? And when will we be addressing the need for changes to the master plan?
So one of the questions I asked at the retreat was about the involvement of the planning board, because that's important. The planning board is a non-political body that reviews things, and as the planners said at the retreat, the planning board is still involved in the process. I do plan on asking him more involved questions about that, but that didn't stop me from introducing it. It might eventually stop me from passing it. It might not, depending on what answers I get. But that's going to be part of what I ask him going forward. So I would like to get his answers, and I think we would all benefit from those. And then at the next meeting, if we still have questions, we'll move forward in a productive way.
See-
I don't think right now arguing back and forth is being very productive on this, but I think
Okay.
we have the chance to get those answers.
See, I think, Mohammed, I understand what you want to do, and I also understand that it doesn't matter if I disagree with it. You got 4 votes.
There you go again.
I'm just saying,
You don't
identify
matter
the
if you
places
disagree
that
with
you
it,
want to do
because
it.
everybody has to be on board, okay? Everybody has to be on board for what we
So
want to do.
just identify the
you know,
places, and I get on board.
Again, he just explained to you why you can't do it that way.
Well, I don't understand that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm telling you to meet with him so he can explain it to you later.
Fine.
Are you willing to do that?
Sure.
Okay, are you doing the community meeting so we can move the interest?
What we have to do is between us. It has nothing to do with the community. We have to understand what we're doing.
All right.
We can't explain to the community if we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so meet with them first, and then go meet with the community and do the community meeting and the impact study and everything else that you were talking about.
Talk to the lawyer.
All right, it doesn't seem like we're getting anywhere, but either way, let's make sure that we have now until the November meeting for adoption, okay? Motion to adjourn. Resolutions and agreements.